Looks like we're live streaming. Thanks for doing that. I think, Javier. Any new faces? I feel like Emily's a new face, at least a new face in the last 4 months.
A fresh face.
Oh,
I'm back.
My audio is not working.
All forgotten me. I'm Emily.
Okay.
On the core team. Oh, we lost Terrence.
Says his audio isn't working, but apparently it's his computer that wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
All right, since you were the last one talking, Emily, I think you get to run it now. Welcome aboard. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't do that to her, right? For tomorrow at least.
He's on day 3. Like, and she has full rights and responsibilities at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now easing back in.
Yeah. How's it feel to be back? Have
Feels
you
good.
Around, say hello to people on the project?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm showing up places, trying to figure out what's going on in the PRs, you know.
Yeah. Tell them you're not responsible for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna milk it for as long as possible. I'm just kidding, guys.
Cool. All right. I will share my screen and move on to outstanding spectators. I believe this is the right tab window. Yep. Cool. Starting from the bottom, I think these are still dependent on Anthony's thing. I just approved it earlier today. I think Ben also approved it. So if is Joe here? Joe's not here. If you could take a look, Emily, since I think you have voting things I need to get the thing merged, would appreciate the add status fields thing on the RFC repo, and then we can kind of close out these asset packaging things since we put that RFC on hold.
Got it.
This extension spec PR, this is the draft for the Docker file support stuff from Steven's RFC. Filter distribution spec. Where are we on this?
I think we've got all the approvals except for Steven. Are we waiting for him on this?
If Emily has voted, we don't have to.
She has not.
I did not make it this far down the list yet.
Add Emily's name to it. Whichever one of the two wins will be enough.
Is it a race?
I think you guys technically do not need me or Steven if you have Ben.
No, we still need 2 of us to get there. 2 of us and 1 of Salesforce to get the vote.
I thought it was the opposite, but what do I know? Because they're worth 50%. The 2 of them together are worth 50%, right? So then 1 of us pushes them over the top.
No, it's each one of our votes means less than theirs. So if you think that we contribute 50%, if each side contributes 50%, it means Terrence and Joe's votes are worth 25% and our votes are worth 20%, no, 18% or something like that. So
But
2 of us have to vote no matter what.
Isn't 68% good enough over the top, right?
I don't know. Where's the spreadsheet?
I think your spreadsheet will agree with me, but I forget what our threshold is.
It's fine. It still would be nice.
I'm just going to interpret this as, well, I was gone. You know, like you guys could have been approving all these things, but you've interpreted the voting incorrectly.
Fine. Well, now that you're back, we don't have to worry about that problem. So,
Yep.
Water in the bridge. Yeah, I assume one of you two will get to it, or you'll tell us you don't need our votes eventually when you find the spreadsheet. Either way, Hopefully I can close this next week. It's been open for 2 months, so would like to. The intern's not even interning, or they're not even being mentored by Javier anymore, but still would like to see it through. Natalie's PR. Let me add Emily here. I guess this is in a similar boat as the last one. So I guess Ben, tell me if we actually need one of their votes, but I assume this is also a thing you probably want to take a look at too, Emily, since it relates to the platform.
Yeah, this was the one that we implemented a fix for, right? Yeah. Yeah, but there are other options. So yeah, be good to get some eyes on this one.
Yeah, just I assume you will, but just make sure to read, I guess, 276 where Natalie talks about all this stuff. Cool. Fix to links in the SBOM section, the bill pack spec. Can you just approve this so I can merge it in right now?
Yeah. Done.
Unless you actually have objections, but I assume you don't.
No.
This is pointing to, oh wait. Clarify what skip restore means. Do you want a chance to kind of look over this stuff?
I actually thought I started reading this one and went to make some changes to the wording to make it clear, and realized that like I had been making incorrect assumptions about how we were caching and restoring the SBOM. So I actually need to go and like
Relook
make
at
sure
all this
I'm
stuff?
understanding so that this makes sense to me.
Okay, cool. Looks like we're good here.
I think app is here is like a historical thing that hasn't been true since in API we no longer support, like the first pre-versioned API. But also I feel like we've talked enough about renaming directories and used apps. So I don't actually, I'm okay with us reserving this word just in case you want to use it. I don't think we have to take it out to pull this in, but I just wanted to mention that we don't actually use it.
Okay. Do you want us to track that somehow, or you're okay if with it falling into the ether?
Okay with it falling
not-
into the ether.
I'm not going to remember this comment.
Nope, that's fine.
Okay, cool. I think we have everything we need.
I put it into the universe. That's all I needed.
Cool. Man, it feels good to merge stuff again. It's like we don't even need Steven to come back. I'm still working on this piece to some degree. I know when Joe did this last time, he drafted up the release notes as part of the PR, but I at least wanted to put this up so people could just look at the changes, at least in code diff form, and make sure it looks same for Project Scripter 02 to kind of get that kind of finalized. And then I will attach the PR, the release notes and stuff for it. That's all I had. That's all we have for spec PRs. Moving on to release planning. So we talked about Project Scripter 0.2. Is there other stuff that we want to bring up in release planning? Natalie, Javier, Sam.
What's happening with bill pack weight?
Looks like this is where we're doing the removing shell specific logic from buildback API.
Still both.
Are there specific things you want out, Sam?
No, I mean, up to us how quickly we want to get this out, but I think I saw a PR for RFC 81. Would be nice.
The process specific working directories.
Yeah.
I think we can pull the 2 asset stories out of here too, right? Those are paused. Which makes this just like a couple typographical cleanup things and bash and working directories.
Yeah, do we want to do the bash stuff, or are we waiting for
The default build packs thing.
yeah, the all of Joe's stuff to land before cutting 0908?
Would-
Well, it would be an opt into buildback API.
Is that,
I think
that stuff,
in some
that
ways,
stuff's
I
not
think
tied to buildback 08, right? Like, isn't that a platform level feature?
Yeah. I mean, assuming like we decide how the provisions and requirements work for those default build packs. Like if we want to say that those default build packs cannot provide and require things, I'll go in the API. If we keep the API for them the same as other build packs, then it shouldn't affect the 08. Yeah.
I guess I would say whether we could ship this without that is kind of up to you and Joe to hold the line on. Right. So I think we were sort of comfortable with the shell specific logic just existing by itself. And it was only,
Are we okay just doing a very focused 09 release with that and that stuff, and then we can get the kind of smaller things plus I feel like this is the kind of big one here, the process specific working directory, and get that out to people. I see Emily nodding. And it's like 4-person view when you're sharing a screen. It's not very helpful.
I think we should probably do it if, like, I think it's fine to go ahead and tackle it.
Have we started this work in lifecycle? Like, am I messing stuff up on the lifecycle side by bumping this?
Nope.
And you're cool with that plan, Natalie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Add assets. Okay, so these will both, I'm not going to bump these. I think we're going to close them. So I'm just going to move to 09. Cool. Cool. Is there anything else on Build Pack 08? Awesome.
Could we also discuss platform 09? I had some suggestions that. So I know we are doing a bunch of work on that Docker files RFC. there's one part of that functionality that should be relatively easy to implement without like the whole canonical builder stuff, which is dynamic runtime image selection. We could like code up the lifecycle orchestration bits of like provisions, requirements, and like the orchestration logic, and we could restrict the Docker file to just allow the from instruction so that you could change the run image. All the other instructions would not be valid. So that'll give you a nice way to progress on that side, on the lifecycle side, and also give a nice functionality that would be useful. Like dynamic runtime image selection would be very useful. Doesn't require anything from our side to actually, we don't need to build those images, they're already there. So it's just passing the run image flag to the lifecycle and doing the orchestration bits. Don't know what people think about that.
Do we need to tease that out of the RFC then?
It's currently a separate RFC as well in draft
Yeah.
state.
Yeah, it's in draft, right? Like I know Steven had those three.
Yep.
And then he kind of just I feel like he kind of ignored, like forgot about the run. Not like forgot about it, but like felt like we stopped talking about that particular RFC.
Yeah.
Kind of just went full on the other one.
mean-
Did you want to try to move that one forward and get the spec stuff changed for that?
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazingly useful for a bunch of like it'll unlock a bunch of features. I think both on our side and Red Hat side, like they've also wanted that for a while. Even if you can't extend things, if you can just have a bunch of different run images with the required packages and select between them, that would also be great. And it's an iterative improvement, and we can eventually get to the full Docker files RFC support.
Are you interested in taking that draft RFC over, Sam?
Yeah, I can try. But do others think that's a good plan? I can.
I definitely need to revisit. Like it's been a while since I've read that RFC. I don't know what the state of it's in. I'm sure others are probably similar. See how you're nodding. But I like off the cuff, I'm not like opposed to the concept of runtime image selection.
Because that the implementation in that RFC is different. I at some point suggested that we could just do it from the Docker files RFC. Like if you just use the from instruction, and that will give you runtime image selection. So that's why the other RFC was scrapped. I'm just saying we restrict the Docker file RFC to just allow from instructions. Take what's already there, like all the ways to specify communication between build packs and extensions and whatever, but only allow the extension to output a Docker file with from instructions. Don't know if that makes sense or that seems feasible, but yeah.
So don't you have multiple extensions?
Yeah.
And then so that yields multiple Docker files, right? So I guess I'm trying to, again, probably to Terrence's comment, I have to revisit everything, but doesn't that mean multiple runtimes?
Just combines the whole thing into one final Docker file, and the last from instruction wins. That's how Docker files, like if you write a normal Docker file with multiple from instructions, that's what will happen.
Right, but you end up with like multi-stage stuff, right? Would multi-stage as a concept work with extensions?
Based on the extensions RFC, it's supposed to work. So, and Kaneko supports that as well, I think. So does Builder. But in our case, it doesn't matter. We ignore all the previous from instructions, take the last from instruction, and use that as the run image. Like in terms of implementation, it's trivial.
Right. Interesting.
Cool. Well, I think we at least have next steps for that. I imagine potentially that would not make into 0.9 if we're trying to get 0.9 out. But kind of trust implementation team here.
I would love if we could ship a small platform 09 so that we can fix the performance for untrusted builders on the daemon. And I think realistically, the process specific working directory could also go in there, but we should bump the other stuff.
So the SBOM.
It's been a while since I looked at that. I don't know if, Sam, do you know if that support's been merged in upstream?
So it's a large pull request that works, but they're missing some edge cases, which is why they've not merged it. We might be able to get away without it as well, because I opened some issues on the image scanners that are aware of the build pack and cosine SBOM format and can merge things on their side. So
Do we want to leave this in then? RC95 and 0.9?
Sorry, do we want to what?
Leave it in the 0.9 milestone.
We can take it out if we just want to ship the small things, and this is not merged upstream anyway, so we can't use it. It is.
Okay.
I am curious, even if it did work, are we concerned about not having parity with the other formats, you know, SPDX, Swift? Not at all.
I mean, it's all up to those formats, right? The other formats don't define a consistent merge. Cyclone DX does. If those other formats start defining a merge, then we can add support for that. Like it's on the SBOM format rather than us.
Thank you. Sounds good to me.
Could we also move the Windows one?
Sure. Is that this one? Yeah. I guess how close are we to moving forward with this 09? Like when are you looking to get this out, Natalie?
Probably not this week. I mean, the lifecycle PR is still making its way through, so you know.
Like end of January, sometime Feb.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anything else for milestone releases?
I guess this is maybe also a good time to bring up a question that we had on the SBOM stuff, which actually more affects the build pack API, but we have Matt here. I guess there's some difficulty that has been created in not allowing build pack to output old bombs and new bombs at the same time. And I wonder if, you know, like after we've all discussed it, you know, whether any actions from that could make it into a new spec. Matt, do you want to speak to that thing?
Yeah, hoping to speak more so tomorrow. But the way that the build pack, the current 07 build pack API prevents, or at least as implemented, prevents the writing of the legacy bomb format when a build pack implements that format, which means all of our current users that are executing their build packs on a previous platform API will not get any bomb output. because the new BOM format isn't available on their platform API. And the old format, it cannot be written in that API, which is we don't realistically have a migration path for migrating users. They're using the current BOM format to the new format. So ideally, we'd like to allow build packs to write both formats so that we can continue to produce the old for where users are expect to see that, and simultaneously start producing the new format so we can begin to transition users off. So I think what Natalie was mentioning is we are hoping to perhaps propose a modification such that the build packs could write to both formats, and perhaps in a future platform API, or we could enable the ability to turn off the old legacy label format, such that while build packs still produce the old BOM format, there's a path forward to stop producing that so that we don't have the issues around large labels, etc.
Could the platforms mitigate the migration from new format to old format?
No, because there was no standardized old format. Like there is stuff crammed into labels that then were by convention read, but there was no mechanical transformation between those two. Like, I'm not arguing for one side or the other, especially since this deeply affects me specifically. But like by design, the move from 07 to 08 or 06 to 07, whenever this broke, was intended to be non-compatible, right? It's, pre 1.0, there is no guarantee about deprecation policies or anything like that. So I don't think that there's a mandate that we do this, that we go back and allow both to coexist for some period of time. But at the same time, boy, it'd make my life easier if we did.
Yeah, I understand why we want to move people away, because the old format has plenty of problems we run into, running on Kubernetes. The problem is counterintuitively, the hard break is actually making it harder to transition us to the new version. So I think
yeah, that makes sense. Do you want to, have you opened an issue on spec about this for 08?
I have not. I was unclear the best way to handle this. I was thinking to begin drafting an RFC.
Yeah, an RFC is also fine. Do you want to talk about it? You're mentioning one, talk about more tomorrow.
Yeah, that was my plan.
Okay. Sounds like a good path forward. Cool. Anything else on release planning before we move on? Cool. I'll move on to RFCs. All right, so read-only layers for subsequent build packs is still blocked. Is that right, Natalie? Docker files. I know some work is still being done on this. And there's basically some POC work that is happening, I believe, from the Red Hat side.
I want to talk about this synchronously, but I think we should probably wait for Steven.
Okay. So basically next week. I think he's back this Friday or something, right?
Yeah, it'll be next week. Would be when you should expect him to re-engage.
Cool. System bill packs. I think Joe said he would take a look at this again, but I don't think he has. Explore all layers, Sam. I think we're waiting for Steven to come back. To talk about this, right?
Yep.
Man, I feel like that next week's gonna be super packed of like all the things that we've been waiting a month for Steven to come back for. I think we were grouping basically all the project descriptors stuff together, including the converter. Does that sound right to you, Javier and Natalie? Unless you want to push this forward, Natalie.
Probably superseded by an RFC that Javier is working on.
Okay, so this is you are tying all this stuff with Javier Joe's work. Cool. Run image SBOM.
You know, I think I'm still just waiting for reviewers at this point. I don't think that anything is blocking.
Okay. I will add Emily since she's back to this. And then I can also ping Joe to take a look. That sounds like he hasn't had a chance to touch base on stuff since last week. Image table. I think there's some open stuff here. We have not labeled this, which is why no one's assigned. Is that right, Ben?
Correct. So as long as you pick one of the magic group.
What do we think this is? Image
This is
table.
part of the distribution order.
Is this like core because it's like spec?
I don't think that was a hard requirement. I think if you know which spec it's going into, you can pick a team. But if it stretches across all of them, might be core.
Sure. Do I just need to label core here? Project descriptor spec.
And then you should let them give it a second and the name will pop up, but you can see it running at the bottom. It's just GitHub Actions now.
Cool. I feel like you had a bunch of open questions here as well, Javier, right?
Yeah, I think what was it? Joe summarized it, and I haven't looked at the answers provided by the original poster.
Okay. Is that something you want to kind of rehash, revisit?
Yeah, I'll definitely review it and see what it ended up being.
Okay. Status fields. I think this looks good. Do I just need? Yeah, I just need one more person to approve, basically, without forcing this. So if I can con you into doing it, Emily, that would be
This will be a
really
quick one.
appreciated.
Okay. To anybody else, just a reminder, this is in the RFC. This is
Yeah. An action item from an RFC. Pack Tomal. All right, so replace positional arts. I think that's just waiting on a review from me, and basically Steven wants some changes. So this might have to wait, I guess, till Steven comes back in force next week. But I imagine he'll be busy the week he gets back too. What about these? I guess what's a subteam RFC? Kind of your cosine integration stuff, Sam.
I'm probably going to modify that based on some feedback I've gotten from the six store folks and how other folks are adopting like SPOM plus cosine. Like, seems like people are more on the side of using the ArtStation format provided by Sixto rather than the SPOM format. So I might try
So
to
we'd have
update
to
that.
convert to that format.
The ArtStation format supports like the SPOM formats that we do. It's just an envelope and it captures more things like what lifecycle version was used, what the digest of other things in the build process were, and not just the output image.
Gotcha. What about the OCI recommendation annotation stuff?
I think it's just waiting for approvals, and there's a small comment from Jason around.
Okay. And then I'll add Emily to reveal. All right. So this is just waiting on reviews, basically, is what you're saying, Sam.
Yep.
Proposal move to CNCF Slack.
I don't know if I need to re-request reviews, but CNCF team said that they will not be able to move channels that are outside of the project to the Slack instance.
But can we can create them though, right?
Yeah, but they will not do it as part of the migration. You can, I think you'll have to request a new channel. I don't know how it works. They were like, we're not gonna move this, ask the other, like whoever is responsible for that channel to initiate a conversation with CNCF to create that channel on the CNCF Slack if they wanted that.
Yeah, I would assume, I envision like you have to request creating channels to some degree, right?
Yeah, I think so. You probably have to open a service desk ticket.
Yeah.
I think there's a GitHub config file somewhere that you can PR to, and it auto generates the Slack channel, so it keeps them in sync or something.
Okay.
Logged into the CNCF Slack, and you can just press the button to create a channel, and it gives you the create button.
You can. I think I don't know if they clean it up or something, but you can. I think that may be for the Kate Slack though. You can Kate Slack controls it using GitHub or vice versa. But they pointed me to some GitHub config as well. I don't know which one that was for.
Okay. I think it.
Yeah, the Kate Slack does not have arbitrary channel creation, but CNCF does.
I think it'd be good to just figure out what we actually want moved over and what we want those names to be inside of the CNCF Slack.
Yep, I'll do that. I was just waiting, like what people, like given that new information, are people still okay with it? In which case I'll go ahead and add all of this mapping.
For this thing, is this like a, because I know you mentioned this in Slack too about this. Would we create this on behalf of KPAC? 'cause
They
it
will
would
have
be-
to, they'll have to create it. We can't touch it.
Like, we can't request a new channel on their behalf.
Don't think so. It's not a CNCF project and it's not part of CNCF, so it's probably gonna cause some issues with them. They wanted whoever's the owner of that channel to do it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know. If you have, I guess, thoughts or whatever on that, Matt, or the rest of the KPAC team. I think this is not an RFC as well. This is just adding a migration template. Oh, that one here too. Take a look. Cool. I think that's RFC review. Are there things we want to talk about for agenda tomorrow? I know Matt mentioned the migration for kind of the SBOM or bomb/SBOM stuff for Build Pack 08 as a topic. I feel like there was something else someone else mentioned. Am I missing something?
Was it Sam's run image selector?
Oh yeah, Sam's run image selector.
Do you want to talk about that tomorrow, Sam?
Are there any of these RCs that we want to talk about before Steven gets back? I'll take the silence as no. Cool. So I'll add, are there any other topics that aren't RFCs related that we want to talk about tomorrow that haven't been mentioned?
If we have extra time, I might try to eat it up with some of the project descriptor conversation.
Is that just like the default? I will add this to every agenda meeting until we get this.
Until we hash it.
Until you're tired of me talking about it. Yeah, that sounds good. I can add that at the bottom. Cool. We'll get this copied over for the agenda tomorrow. Anything else before we close? I'll take the silence as a no. See everyone here tomorrow for working group. Thanks, everyone.